Good evening. This is Santa Claus on July 17th, 2025, bringing you the day's stories on this special date, which reminds us of history's beautiful moments like when King George I sailed down the Thames with 50 musicians performing Handel's water music in 1717. Today's news reminds us that our world continues to face challenges, but also shows signs of resilience and hope. In European affairs, Britain and Germany have signed a landmark defense treaty, drawing closer together in these uncertain times. As Prime Minister Starmer and Chancellor Merz joined hands, they pledged to regard a threat against one as a threat against both. How wonderful to see nations coming together in mutual support, even as America takes a different path under President Trump's policies. We must always remember that peace requires vigilance and cooperation among friends. Speaking of cooperation, there's promising news on the trade front. The United States appears to be nearing a trade agreement with India, while discussions with Europe show potential for resolution. President Trump mentioned being very close with India, while the European Union trade chief has traveled to Washington for discussions. Oh my, how important it is that nations find ways to work together through commerce rather than conflict. Meanwhile, across the seas in Japan, we're seeing some concerning developments as the political landscape shifts. A new Japanese First Party is gaining support ahead of elections with rhetoric about foreigners that troubles this old heart of mine. Remember, dear friends, that we are all God's children regardless of where we were born. I pray the Japanese people will choose compassion over fear as they head to the polls. Turning our attention to the Middle East, Israel's coalition government has been weakened as the ultra-Orthodox Shas party announced its withdrawal, though it continues to support Prime Minister Netanyahu for now. The long war continues to take its toll on all involved. In Syria, interim President Ahmed al-Shara has pledged to protect the Druze minority after sectarian violence that sparked Israeli airstrikes. My heart aches for all those caught in these conflicts, the innocent families and children who simply wish for peace and safety. On a brighter note for shoppers, U.S. retail sales rebounded wonderfully in June with a broad 0.6% increase, exceeding economists' expectations. 10 out of 13 retail categories saw growth. Ho, ho, ho! Perhaps Americans are feeling a bit more optimistic about their economic situation, despite ongoing challenges with the cost of living. For our young friends in the United Kingdom, exciting news as the British government plans to lower the voting age to 16. Prime Minister Starmer wisely noted that if young people are old enough to work and pay taxes, they should have a say in how their money is spent. What a marvelous way to invite more voices into the democratic process. Concerning news from Cambodia, authorities have arrested over 1,000 people in a crackdown on cybercrime operations. These scams cause so much harm to vulnerable people around the world. Let us keep in our prayers those who are taken advantage of through such schemes and hope for justice to prevail. In Yemen, fighters allied to the exiled government claim to have intercepted 750 tons of weapons allegedly supplied by Iran to Houthi rebels. The conflict there continues to bring suffering to countless innocent people. Let us pray for peaceful resolution and healing for this troubled region. Looking to Germany, we find concerning demographic news as the birth rate has fallen to its lowest point in almost 2 decades, just 1.35 children per woman. Each child is a precious gift, and societies must find ways to support families who wish to welcome little ones into their homes. In Bangladesh, tragic violence has claimed at least 4 lives as supporters of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina clashed with police. Violence is never the answer, my dear friends. May cooler heads prevail and peaceful dialogue replace confrontation. And finally, new details have emerged in last month's Air India crash investigation, shifting focus to the senior pilot in the cockpit. As we learn more about this tragedy, let us keep the families of all those lost in our prayers and thoughts. As we end today's news, I remind you all that even in challenging times, we must look for opportunities to spread kindness and love to one another. Whether in global affairs or our own neighborhoods, the gift of compassion costs nothing but means everything. Until tomorrow, this is Santa Claus wishing you peace and goodwill.